Today I'm at a Costco in Danville, California. I just left the club and I have picked up every type of Kirkland wine that I can find. I've got a lot of bottles. I'm going to taste through them all and I'm going to come back to you and tell you what are the absolute best values. Now I've made my way back home with more than 20 different Kirkland wine labels. I've tasted through all of them. This is by no means an exhaustive list. There's a lot more Kirkland wine out there that I could not get my hands on. So some of these wines come and go during the course of the year, but I grabbed everything I could. What you can find in your area is probably going to be a little bit different than what I'm finding here. Now, what I'm going to go through is the top 3 wine values. I'm not saying these are the absolute best wines within the entire tastings, but what I'm saying is they are the best wines for the money. There's also a 4th one that I'm going to discuss that's a little bit separate. It has its own different story, but this one was an absolute shocker for me. Now, the price range for the Kirkland wines go all the way from opening price point to ultra premium. Some of the wines are available virtually every day, and they're available broadly across many of their stores. There is also some smaller production wines. Generally, they're from areas that have a bit more pedigree, where productions are a bit more limited. These are the types of wines that come and go. They play into something called treasure hunt. It's a term used at Costco. And essentially what this has to do with is driving a sense of urgency. Buy it today, because if you don't, it's going to be gone next time you come back into the club. Now, it's also worth mentioning that Costco has done something that's really quite unique within the wine space in the U.S. There are not many retailers who will take a brand name, such as Kirkland, and market products all throughout their business with that one name. Most of the time, what you'll find with U.S. retailers is they'll create fictitious names. And if those products work for wine, for instance, fantastic, they'll maintain it. If not, those products will go away. Kirkland has so much positive brand equity. People love Costco. They trust the brands. It absolutely works ideal for them. So in that regard, kudos to them. They have done a great job in building that program. As an added bonus, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on how some of the pricing and the signage works in Costco. And this, I think, is going to provide a lot of advantage for you when you shop for wine, or really for most anything else within the club. Now, for this video, I will go into a lot of detail with a handful of wines that were the absolute best value. Beyond that, there's a lot of wines that are not going to be discussed in detail here, but they will all be posted below down in the description. I'll provide the name of the wine along with the price. Keep in mind the pricing that I'm working on is California, so yours may be a bit different based on where you're at. And I've also categorized all the wines into one of 5 categories, with the top being must buy, excellent value, the next being highly recommended, very good value, the next is recommended, solid, the 4th is so-so, in a pinch, and the 5th one is avoid. If you're drinking these wines, you've obviously entered the bad judgment phase of the evening. Overall, I found a lot of great value within the Kirkland Signature range. But as I dug in a bit deeper, there's a couple of things that stood out to me. One being the best value really does seem to be more at the lower price points. And by that, what I mean is taking those lower price point wines and then comparing them to like branded wines within that same category. I think in this area, Kirkland stands up extremely well. As you get up to more higher price points, regions that have a bit more prestige, more limited in availability, when those wines were compared to their branded counterparts, I don't think the value was quite as strong. The other bit that really surprised me, over the last several years, there's a strong movement in the wine industry to play up all of these emotive links that make wine more appealing to people, playing up a fact of a wine being organic, sustainable, vegan, and so on. I saw none of that within any of the Kirkland range. And based on buying habits for people today, that seems like an opportunity. So the first wine that I'm going to try is the only white wine that's going to be part of the video tasting. And this is the 2022 Marlborough New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. $7.49 in California. This is a crazy good value. Now, in recent years, the demand for New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc has just exploded. It's to the point where, for many people, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, specifically Marlborough, is now the benchmark standard for what Sauvignon Blanc should be. The demand is huge, especially in markets like the UK, the US, Canada. When I worked in Australia, the last project that I worked on there was to buy more than 2 million liters of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc to have shipped back to Australia. The Aussies love this stuff too. Now, in terms of the profile of the wine, it's just what you would expect from this place in the world. The wine is fresh, bright, clean, it's zesty, there's an herbal character, there's a bit of a citrus note. It's all primary fruit. There's not any oak in this wine at all. So what you're smelling and tasting is just what inherently is coming from the grape itself. The acidity on it is good. And I'm not saying this is the greatest Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc I've had. Not at all. But in terms of value, you can't beat this. This is a must-buy. Definitely pick this up. Please take a quick moment to subscribe. Somewhere along the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a little red button that says subscribe. Hit that button. You're going to be lined up with all my upcoming videos. It's going to help this channel immensely, and it's so much appreciated. The next wine is from the Southern Rhone area in France, and it's the Côte du Rhône Village. This is one of my go-to wines. Côte du Rhône Village I have around the house all the time. This is the first time that I've tried the one from Kirkland. The wine's very good. It's a blend of Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, the classic blend for the Southern Rhone. Grenache provides a lot of the base of the wine, some of the savory spice, the red fruit character. Syrah lends more color, more depth, more of that peppery note. And the Mourvèdre really highlights a lot of the aromatics in the wine and brings up the acidity and freshness a bit. Now, while I wouldn't say this is a super complex wine, it's made very, very well. The California price on it was $6.99. It is rare to find a Côte du Rhône Village that is under $10 in today's world. Aromatics are nice, really peppery. It's got that red fruit note. It's bright, it's clean. This is the type of wine you could actually even pop it in the fridge for 40 minutes or so to bring the temperature down a bit. Really nice wines, solid made, incredible value. This is a must buy. This is definitely worth searching out. Now, the third wine that is just off the chart value is the Kirkland Malbec. This is the 2021 vintage. This is from Mendoza in Argentina. Malbec, one of the hottest things going in the wine category. It has been for the last several years. Prices have ticked up a bit. This was $6.99 in California. For under $10, this is a crazy good value. It has that bright red fruit. There's a bit of a plum character to it. There's good depth of color. It's a really nice, well-made Malbec. I've had Malbecs that have been twice this price that have not been as good as this particular wine. It's from a producer called Broquel. It's a really well-established producer. The back label says that this wine is aged in French oak barrels. Well, based on the cost of French oak, I can't imagine how they're doing that and getting this cost to where it is. But the wine has this wine has a lot of appeal to it. There's good weight on the palate, nice depth. It's not an overly complex wine, but it's balanced well, very well made, thoroughly enjoyable. Another absolutely must buy. Definitely search this out. Now, the last wine that I'm going to discuss is the one that I refer to as the shocker. And this is it. It's the 10-year-old Tawny. This is from Fonseca. one of the oldest, most reputable port houses. They have fantastic quality across their entire range. This wine was $16.99 in California. A 10-year tawny under $20 in today's world is virtually unheard of. And this delivers on everything that would be expected. This wine is aged in barrel, so when it's released, it's fully mature. You'll see the color has some fade to it, and hence where the tawny name comes in. But the aromatics on it are outstanding. It has a bit of a mandarin orange character to it, this roasted nut character, a bit of a coffee character. It reminds me a little bit of creme brulee. It's very ripe, really weighty and rich. A lot of nuance to it. It's ultra smooth. The flavor just goes on and on. It's a wine that when you pop the cork, you'll notice it has what is commonly called a tea cork. So the wine is actually very easy to reseal. And once you open this, you can easily keep this for a week with no real harm happening to the wine. But this is an absolutely must buy. Search this out. It is a gem. On the bottoms of the tags, typically there are some wine reviews. Now there's been a change there in the last several months. Historically, what Costco has used is only 3 sources: the Wine Spectator, Robert Parker, or the Wine Advocate, and the Wine Enthusiast. More recently, they've added 2 more sources: a critic by the name of James Suckling, and also another agency called BTI, or Beverage Testing Institute. Keep in mind that the last 2 that I mentioned tend to give out very high scores, so take that as a grain of salt. If you see an asterisk up in the upper right-hand corner, it means that the product is limited. It may be marked down, it may be not marked down, but if you want it, you should grab it because it may not be coming back. If you see a price tag where the number ends in a 7, what that means is it's been marked down. Occasionally you'll see a tag that'll have a price, and then below that it'll show a minus of some dollar amount. Those are supplier-funded discounts. They're there just for a finite period of time. So if you see something that appeals to you, I suggest that you grab it then and there. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. I appreciate it very much. I hope you can find some of the wines that I listed here. I've got a feeling I'm going to be doing another Kirkland video before too long. Until next time, cheers.